What's up YouTube, Saf here on Super Saf TV, and in this video I'm going to be comparing the specs of the Samsung Galaxy S4 Mini to the Samsung Galaxy S4 Original. Now the S4 Original has been very popular, sold over 10 million units in just over a month. And if you do want to see a full hands-on review of the device, then do go ahead and check that out. I'll put a link in the description below as well. Now the S4 Mini has just been announced today, and it's sort of the younger brother or sister, shall we say, of the S4 Original. And as we had last year with the S3 and the S3 Mini, it's not just a smaller version of the S4. The specs are also cut down. So what are the difference in spec? Well, do hit that thumbs up button and let's find out. So looking at the size initially, as the S4 Mini name suggests, it is a smaller device, roughly about 12mm smaller in height, around 8.5mm smaller in width, and just a millimeter thicker than the S4 Original. So it is a compact device, just a millimeter thicker though, but in terms of height and width it is much more compact than the S4. Weight wise, the S4 130 grams, whereas the S4 Mini 107 grams. Now just to put that in perspective, the iPhone 5, which is quite a light device, is 112 grams. So the S4 Mini pretty light here, just 107 grams. So again, going for that compact size. Screen size, the S4 5 inches, whereas the S4 Mini 4.3 inches. So still a decent sized screen, and they've managed to keep that decent sized screen without making the size of the device too big. And it's going to fit better in the hand, and Samsung are quite emphasizing the fact that one-handed usage is going to be very comfortable for most people out there. In terms of resolution, Super AMOLED displays, the S4 has that beautiful 1080p display, 1920 by 1080p, 441 pixels per inch. The S4 Mini has a 960 by 540 pixel display, which is roughly about 256 pixels per inch. So I mean, I was a little bit disappointed. I would have hoped for a 720p screen. That would have been really nice on the S4 Mini, but it's a slightly smaller than the 720p display that we would have hoped for, and the PPI compared to the S4 is much lower as well. So the S4 is going to give you much sharper and crisp images and text, whereas the S4 Mini, not to say it's going to be bad, but it's not going to give you that same experience that the S4 is. And the S4's screen is absolutely amazing. 1080p videos, pixel for pixel, look absolutely great on it. Now looking at the build and design, they look very similar, almost identical apart from the size. They both have the polycarbonate plastic, and you got the white frost and the black mist versions at the moment. The Aura Red version is available on AT&T for the S4 Original. Now I don't know if they're going to have this for the S4 Mini or if there's going to be other color available options, but for now it's going to be the black mist and the white frost. Processor wise, the S4 has the two versions, the Exynos 5 octa processor, which has been very talked about, and there's also a more widely available quad core version, which is the 1.9 GHz quad core version. That's the version that I have as well at the moment. The S4 Mini has the dual core 1.7 GHz version. So the S4 Original, clearly a much faster processor, so it is going to be better for those high intensive tasks such as gaming, etc. The S4 Mini, not to say it's going to be bad in any way, but it's not going to be anywhere near the speed and performance of the S4 Original. It'd be nice to see benchmarks, etc., but those are not currently available. Internal memory, the S4 has the 16, 32 and 64GB variants. The S4 Mini, currently they're saying just the 8GB version. There may be a 16GB version soon, but right now, for now, the release anyway is going to be the 8GB version. The S4 Original, currently the 16GB version, is the most widely available as well. Now one thing to bear in mind is on the S4 Original, the 16GB version, there's only roughly about 9GB of usable storage, and that's because the operating system and the TouchWiz UI takes up a lot of space. So you've only got about 9GB for your apps, etc. On the S4 Mini, Samsung are currently saying you're going to have roughly about 5GB of available storage. So, you know, out of the 8GB, 5GB on a device, you know, that might be pretty low, but both of these do have expandable storage. So for your media, for your videos, all your content, etc., you are going to be able to put them onto the expandable storage. And both of these have up to 64GB micro SD card expansion on both of these, which is a very useful feature. In terms of RAM, the S4 original 2GB of RAM, and it also has 4G LTE connectivity. The S4 Mini is going to have a few different versions. The most common version will probably be the 1.5GB RAM version, and that's going to have a 3G, whereas the 2GB RAM version is going to have 4G LTE. There's also going to be additional version which is going to be a 3G dual SIM version as well, so that's quite interesting. But nevertheless, a decent amount of RAM there, 1.5GB or 2GB, very good for multitasking, etc. That's going to be really useful. Now, in terms of the cameras, the S4 has that beautiful 13 megapixel camera. The S4 Mini is going to have a 8 megapixel camera, so slightly lower in resolution. It depends on how much resolution means to you. In terms of the camera features, lots of the features are on the S4 Mini, such as sound in shot, as well as panorama and drama shot as well. However, the dual camera mode is not available on the S4 Mini. Now, that would have been nice to see, but maybe because the processor may not be able to handle it, because that is quite intensive having both cameras working at the same time. But that's quite unique on the S4 original. You're not going to be getting that on the S4 Mini, and I believe you're not going to get 360 images on the S4 Mini either. In terms of video, both of the rear-facing cameras film at 1080p HD, which is absolutely great. Front-facing cameras, the S4 has the 2 megapixel front-facing camera with 1080p recording, whereas the S4 Mini has a 1.9 megapixel camera, and I believe it's 720p recording. They've not confirmed this as yet, but I would expect it to be 720p front-facing camera recording. If it is 1080p, that's going to be absolutely great, but I believe it's going to be 720p. In terms of the operating system, both are running Android Jelly Bean 4.2.2, so the latest version of Jelly Bean for now, and both have the TouchWiz UI. Lots of the features are also being transferred over to the Samsung Galaxy S4 Mini. To name a few, S Translator, S Health, as well as Group Play, and the IR Blaster is also going to be on the S4 Mini, so you are going to be able to control things like your TV, etc. with the S4 Mini, which is absolutely great. And this was quite surprising as well. Air view and air gestures are also going to be on the S4 Mini. I was not expecting them to be, but they will also be on the S4 Mini. So some of these quite nice fancy features are coming onto the S4 Mini. No smart scroll or no smart pause for now anyway on the S4 Mini. Personally, I don't think they're that useful anyway, so not a big deal for me here, but those two features are not going to be on the S4 Mini. Now, in terms of battery, the S4 has a lithium-ion 2600 milliamp battery, a massive battery in there. The S4 Mini has got a lithium-ion 1900 milliamp battery, so a smaller battery, but then you do have to bear in mind that the S4 Mini has a smaller processor and a smaller screen, a resolution, etc. So it's probably not going to be as power intensive as the S4 original, so you're probably going to get roughly about the same usage out of them both. Now, in terms of price, the S4 original, the 16GB version, is currently going for around 500 to 550 pounds here in the UK, or roughly about $650 to $700 in the US, I believe. Now, this is for the unlocked version, SIM-free. The S4 Mini, they've not confirmed specific prices, but for the 8GB version, I'd expect it to be around about the £300 mark, maybe up to 330 probably, whereas in the US, roughly about $400 to $450, with the expected release date of July 2013, so that's something to look forward to there. Now, to summarize, those are the key differences in spec between these two devices. I think the most important thing to remember here is that the S4 Mini is not just a smaller version of the S4 original. It is cut down in spec, but although they've cut down the size and the spec, it is a cut down in price as well, so you are getting more of a bargain device here. And I am quite impressed that they've transferred over a lot of the features in the S3 and the S3 original and the S3 Mini. There was a lot of cut down in terms of hardware, but on the S4 original to the S4 Mini, there's not a huge deal of cut down. I'm impressed that they've got things like air gesture and air view still on the S4 Mini. It is quite impressive. What are your views on the S4 Mini? Will you be going for one? Do drop me a comment below and let me know. And obviously, if we do get it in for review, then there will be a hands-on review on the channel, so do stay tuned for that. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, as always, please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. And why not subscribe to the channel? I've got plenty more videos coming up on here. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on Super Saf TV, and I'll see you next time.